Shows live. Well, it just always pops up as live.
It did pop up?
Mhm.
Thank you. Live then.
I'm getting messages. Ready?
Ready? I'm sorry.
Okay. It is 6 o'clock, so I will call to the meeting to order with roll call. Lori Belargin,
Here.
Ian McDonald,
Here.
Matt Foucault,
Here.
myself, Lacey Oster, here, Bruce Belargin,
Here.
Marge Blow.
Here.
Our district mission: together we engage, educate, and empower all learners, bridging their passions to pathways to create successful futures and positively contribute to our local and global communities. Is there a motion to approve our agenda this evening?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I did not receive any requests for public comment. Shannon, did you receive anything?
I did not.
Okay. So moving on, we'll go to the big reason we're here tonight, the topics for discussion and action. We will move forward to establish, which some of that was done last night, additional procedures related to attempting to fill the current board vacancy by appointment. And then we will start with the interview of our applicants for the board seat vacancy. Last night, it was discussed as far as the board and the procedure for voting. Other than that, each applicant will have 15 minutes you'll start by giving an overview of yourself. If you want to include anything that you included on your questionnaire as far as unique qualifications, things that you believe as strengths or weaknesses, that's your time to be able to address the board. And then within that time, if there's time within that 15 minutes, it'll allow us for any questions that we may have for you to answer at that time as well. Anything else on our end to include or address before we start? Okay, so we will start with 6 o'clock here at Bloom. So if you want to head on up to the podium, and then Matt will time for 15 minutes. You can kind of introduce yourself, get started, and then we'll move from there.
I'll give you a heads up too, just being we're a couple minutes late, so you get the full 15.
Okay,
So.
great. My name is Garrett Bellil, and I have been a community member in Somerset for pretty much all of my life. I grew up here, attended K-12 schools here, graduated in 2000, and my wife and I and our family now own a house in Somerset Township, just down the road here. And I have 3 kids in Somerset. Well, I have one in the Somerset High School who's a junior, and I have 2 kids who actually go to St. Anne's. And I applied to the open board seat because, I want to be more involved in the Somerset schools. I do have a stake in the Somerset schools and in this community, and I want to have a voice. And I know I have pretty extensive background in public education. I was a public education teacher for 17 years. I taught 7 years of 7th grade science in Columbus, Wisconsin, which is kind of down by Madison. And then I taught for 10 years in 8th grade science over at Hudson. So 17 years in public education. In that time, I've seen a lot of changes and a lot of things happen within public education. And I've seen it from different sides. You know, my bachelor's degree is in elementary ed. And I've done coaching and all the volunteer things that go along with it, but I also have a master's degree in educational leadership, so I kind of have the admin side a little bit as well as the teacher side, and I've seen kind of the small school setting with Columbus is a bit of a smaller school, kind of comparable to like a Somerset, and then of course in Hudson's a bit of a bigger school, so I've seen schools kind of operate in both those larger and smaller school settings, so I think I have a pretty good understanding of some of the challenges in public education, and some of the things that we're facing today, especially, you know, in the post-COVID world, and I taught through that and seen kind of the other side of that. So I feel like I have a good base of experience, and I want to kind of bring that to this board. And I'm sorry, that was just about me. Was there any other question with that?
Yeah, no, it's just anything that you'd want us to know or to include.
Sure.
Does anyone have specific questions for Garrett?
I have a question, Garrett. Generally, do you think it's a board member's responsibility to support the recommendations of school administrators?
Do you think it's the board? Say it again.
Generally,
Yep.
in general, do you think it's a board member's responsibility to support the recommendations of school administrators?
Well, I think the the school administrators are they're the experts of the school, and they know their schools in and out, but I certainly don't think that any board member should be a rubber stamp for everything that's advised by the administration. I think you always have to have that little voice in the back of your head that's just what's best for kids. Yeah, it's not. That's really who we're working for here, is what's best for the kids. So if it's, I think you just have to use your best judgment, and I think you have to have an open line of communication with administrators and other board members, and I think it's important to talk about those things and maybe express if you do have doubts or concerns, express those and see if you can work through those. But I don't think that, it's just an automatic, you go with everything that's advised, even though they're in the buildings. I think you just need to be part of that discussion, I think.
Thank you.
I have a question. You mentioned you're taking a closer look at some of the systems, and you specifically mentioned the high school schedule. Do you have can you go a little deeper on that? What are you thinking with that?
Well, the question was about the weaknesses of the Somerset School District, and it's as a community member, I see things here and there, and you hear a lot of rumors and things, and so you don't really know until you see it firsthand, and so I have just my narrow view of my one child who's gone through from elementary school, who's now a junior in high school, and I've seen the things and so many positive experiences and so many great things that are happening. So it's almost like being nitpicky, but the one thing that I would like to look at is the high school schedule and how that's a challenge. There are some issues, I think, with my son that shouldn't be happening in terms of just class alignment and having to miss classes and make decisions that he shouldn't have to make within his schedule and within his educational experience that he shouldn't be having. That are maybe some things we can work through, but that's something that I would, as a board member, like to look at. Yes.
As a board member, would you be able to be nonpartisan?
Yes, I think school board members should be nonpartisan. Politics should not, and I said this before, I mean, you really should take your thought process should always go back to what's best for kids. And then of course you have what's best for parents and teachers and as a community member and a taxpayer, and you have all these factors that are kind of looking over your shoulders. You make these decisions, but I don't think politics plays a role in any of that. And great schools benefit everybody. That should be bipartisan. Your decisions you make here, making this school a better place, and it only benefits the community to have a great school or a great school system. So there should be really support on every side for that.
Anybody have any other questions? Trying to think now more questions. Covered. Garrett, anything else that you want to add, just kind of to sum it up, or that you wish we would have asked and you didn't answer, or not you're double thinking it?
No, I've been really pleased with my experiences with Somerset schools, and I only hope to continue that and be a part of that. So it's, I know, and I just wrote down, I was thinking earlier, I was a teacher for 17 years, and some people might be asking, well, why are you no longer a teacher? And that's one of the challenges I put down in public education is retaining teachers and filling these open spots. And I know it's a different world in teaching that we live in, and I think I have really firsthand knowledge of some of the challenges that are facing teachers and are kind of making some teachers consider, you know, other career options, which is what I did. So I think it's that among, of course, with funding and budgets and technologies and school safety and all these things, I was kind of thinking of just off the top of my head some of the challenges we face. And I just thought, you know, I really would like to have a voice in that because I think I have a really solid base of experience in all those things. So that's pretty much it, though.
Great. Any other questions? Okay, thank you so much.
Yep. Thank you.
Thanks.
Would you like me to stay?
So it's up to you. We'll go through everybody and then we'll vote. We said 8 o'clock we'd be, or a little after 8, but maybe it'll go a little faster too. So it's completely up to you.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate, just, and I'll say this to everybody, like putting your name in and going and doing this. It's appreciated by all of us, so thank you. Okay, Corey Cole. Okay, Corey, you heard me before, so kind of same thing. You'll get 15 minutes if you need 15 minutes, or if we have 15 minutes. If you can just, start out by giving an overview, a little bit about you, why you're running for board, anything maybe that you put on here that you want to reemphasize.
Sure.
And then we'll have some time for questions.
All right, well, thank you for the opportunity. My name is Corey Cole. I was moved to Somerset by my parents in 6th grade. Went through middle school, high school, graduated, moved out for a couple years like college kids do, and came back. I had an amazing experience going through high school here. Lots of positive influences from coaches and teachers, people that turned in to be real role models for me. Now I live here with my wife and a brand new baby boy, 8 months old. I want to be part of this school district and be more involved to make sure he has the experience that I had, or hopefully even better. Kids these days, you can't have enough good role models, so I'd like to make sure that we have that opportunity. My career, I'm a refrigeration and HVAC technician. Personally, I've had my hands on some of the stuff in these buildings, so thank you for passing the referendum. Really helpful. I think Somerset's moving in a great direction and trying to keep up with the growth in the community and the population rising. I think the school's done a pretty good job of keeping up. I want to help to make sure we keep keeping up and getting ahead. Somerset's a small town, growing fast. You hear people complain that there's not enough stuff for the kids to do, or not enough restaurants. None of that's going to happen unless the population gets bigger. The only reason anybody's coming here now is for the schools. So we need to make sure we're top of the line. Questions, I guess?
I have the same question. So generally speaking, do you think it's a board member's responsibility to support the recommendations of school administrators?
I think it's a board member's responsibility to set the policies and let the administrators run from there. I mean, they're in the buildings every day. They know best how to treat their teachers, their students, and take care of all the issues. So I believe it should be a conversation, should be in the loop, but for the most part, the administrators should administrate.
Thank you.
Sure. Are you able to stay nonpartisan, as the school board member should be nonpartisan? Are you able to do that?
Yes, I believe I have a great ability to see things from all sides and take in multiple viewpoints, listen to everything, take the information, and come up with good solutions using logic, common sense, and keep politics out of it. that if me and you disagree on something politically, that should not be brought into a school board meeting or policies.
Questions?
You mentioned a lot of strengths. If you were elected to the board, or what do you see as a weakness or a way that you would want to make a difference in a spit, or more so, what do you see as a weakness that needs work for our district?
I think a weakness nationwide is just teacher retention, and lots of professionals leaving the field. I think the school board needs to set the policies that encourage those teachers to stick around and supports them so they stick around. I think that's probably the biggest hurdle for every school district. Not just retaining teachers, but also attracting new ones. And as Somerset continues to grow, we'll need more.
Great. Any other questions from the board? Anything after this that you want to add to we have, this is going faster than we anticipated, so,
I think I'm good.
awesome.
All right, thank you.
All of you provided a lot of
Yeah,
information, so.
yeah, it's good, so it's gonna be good for them. Thank you, Corey.
Yeah, it was just so fun. That was great.
Danielle Erickson. And Danielle, as I started the other ones, we'll have 15 minutes. We haven't taken close to that yet, but if you want to kind of give an overview of why you're running, who, strengths, weakness, any of that piece, and then we'll have some time for questions as well.
Okay. My name is Danny Erickson. I live in Somerset Township. I have 4 children, one in every building with 2 in elementary buildings, so I feel well represented, and that should last for another 2 or 3 years, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. Let's see, what else? I'm a small business owner, community member, parent, obviously, not a teacher, never been in education, anything like that. So I guess I would just be representing parents for the most part. What else would be? What's next?
And like some of just like strengths, weaknesses.
Oh, yes. I think I have good abilities with communicating with people. I like to talk one-on-one with people and have discussions, and I always feel like I can learn from every conversation that I have with people. I would really love to have people who may not always agree with me. It's a nonpartisan position, of course, but whether politically or anything that I may have sought to do in the past with the Somerset School District, I always welcome other thoughts and ideas, and I would hope that people could reach out to me and talk to me about anything.
Questions for Danny?
So Danny, generally, do you think as a board member's responsibility to support the recommendations of school administrators?
I would love to support administrators. I will most always have questions. If I have questions, I would ask. But yes, support generally, yes.
So the board position is a nonpartisan position.
Yes.
How are you going to stay nonpartisan?
That, I think, is an excellent question. I think it's one of the most important questions that probably could be asked tonight. I would love this position to be nonpartisan. I think that's a great goal to have. And that would be my personal goal as well, to remain as objective as possible, non-biased as possible, listening to all people of all backgrounds without any bias, as I said. So that would definitely be an objective goal. Yes.
what do you feel, you put down some really good strengths and weaknesses, but do you have one that sticks out in each area? Like one really, what do you think is the best thing about Somerset? And what do you think is the thing that could most be improved with Somerset?
Let me start with improvement maybe. I just think, and maybe this is just nationally as well, but I would just really love to see just our education standards bumped up even higher. Just kids really wanting to learn more and whatever it takes to encourage that, and discussion revolving around that. I would like to see, you know, math, science, history, all that just really, I think nationally as well. I just really would like to see a return to all those things and improvement of sorts. And then as far as things that are great at Somerset, I think the teachers are excellent at communicating. I've been really pleased with all my experiences. Parent-teacher conferences were great. My kids are doing wonderful, and I think that the teachers do a great job with positivity, and they're doing a good job.
Any other questions for Danny?
Yeah, I guess I'm just kind of reading you make that comment in here about current strengths, the encouraging, as well as encouraging meaningful connections. Do you see any areas of improvement for that? You know, a lot of times in our surveys we see it's always communication.
Right.
You mentioned it's encouraging. Do you see any areas of improvement?
Any questions that I have had to teachers have been answered so promptly and so well that at this point I don't. I might as I go along further into high school or something, but everything has just been going along pretty well.
Okay.
So I would have to think more about that.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Anything else that you want to add? Okay, great, thank you. Ruth. So Ruth, same thing, you've kind of been in here, so if you want to give your overview, and then we'll have some time for questions as well.
Sounds good. Good to see everybody. Nice to see everyone here tonight, and I'm very appreciative to be a part of this panel tonight. My name is Ruth Harloon. I live with my partner Carol over on the Apple River with our son Ben, who's almost 22. He's almost survived childhood. I've been a part of this community since 1987 when I bought my land over on the Apple, and been very involved in this. I wasn't really involved in the community until I had my kid. I think that can be said of most of us who worked in corporate America over across the river. And so once Ben was born, then I got involved in every last thing that you can imagine. I was the typical helicopter parent. I was told that I volunteered way too much at the school. I coached youth soccer for 5 years. I ran the computer labs for a year and a half. Have a wonderful reputation, respect for the teachers in the elementary school. It was just I fell in love with the Somerset school districts at that point in time. I've been sort of discouraged since all of the, I don't know, for the last 7-8 years, I think, seeing all the fractures in our community. And now that I'm retired, I feel like I have some things that I'd like to offer. I have some perspectives that I'd like to share. I think I have some strengths that I can maybe, provide. And I'd like to see us try to focus on the things that I think we can all agree on. The only people we really care about, if we're looking at a customer service model, our customers are these kids in this school district, in all 3 of the schools. The sponsors are the community and the parents, but the customers are our kids. And I'd hate to be in the world that they're living in right now. I feel scared for them. And I can tell you, as a child of the 70s, I know my parents were probably scared to death of sex, drugs, and rock and roll. But thinking that I would be an enlightened parent as a result of that, I had no clue when Ben went into high school and put us through some of the things that he did put us through. because this world today for kids is scary. And I know that every person who comes up here and talks in front of this board is doing so because they love their kids and they want to protect them. And our teachers are the best place to make those connections, but we can support those teachers, and that's why I'm here. So that's what I've got. Questions?
Lori, do you want to start us off?
Sure. Ruth, generally, do you think it's a board member's responsibility to support the recommendations of school administrators?
I think that we're a team. I think that there are groups of people. You know, there are the administrators, there are the teachers, there are the board members, and I'm an arguer. And so I believe in the whole process of synergy, if you will, because I think that administration can come to us, but I think each one of you up here brings a different strength to the table. We have a police officer, we have teachers, we have, you know, a nurse practitioner. We have people who have different perspectives, and I think it's good to be able to add to the questions that are being asked of us and participate and not just take it at face value. So while I would support as much as I could, I would also want to know the reasons behind the decisions that are being made.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Marge, I can be nonpartisan.
Oh, Ray, you've been here a while.
I think there is no place for politics or religion in school. I think our kids are not political beings, you know. They pick up either negative or positive from the politics of their parents. And I think that we need to stay with open hearts and listen with our heart to what's going on in our community. But I think our kids are probably horrified by some of the fractures that have been happening in this community. And so there's no place for politics. So yes, I can certainly keep, and I miss the days where we had two sides that could come together, because I don't believe one side has all the answers. I think the only way that we get to a functional community is by having all sides represented. So that's my real honest thought on that.
Other questions? I'll kind of do the same one in just a different way. You've said the positives and negatives, but
Okay.
Just kind of as I asked, and some people were more, like, what do you think is the greatest, the greatest positive of our district, and what's something that you see of immediate, greatest weakness or immediate need that you are most concerned about?
I absolutely think that the teachers are our strongest asset. I really and truly do. I think some of the programs that we have, the college being available to kids, getting college credits while they're still in high school. I think all of those things are real pluses. We've got great team spirit in Somerset too, going to the football games and doing things like that. I think our community is very vibrant, and I think our school district reflects that. Weaknesses, I think we don't always do as good a job as I'd like to see for the kids who are really struggling. I think I worked with restorative justice in the prison system for 10 years. And I think that model really needs to be looked at closely for bringing into this school district, because punitive means don't work as well on high school kids especially. And you can go into middle school and elementary school as well and come up with different models for it. But I think we leave kids behind, and I think we shut doors for kids very often by reacting in a punitive manner. And so I think there are some areas where we can improve on that front, making sure no kid gets left behind.
Any other questions? Anything else that you want to add?
I think that you guys should all be given a big dose of kudos for everything you've gone through in the last couple of years. It's been some tough times in our community. And I really want to take my hat off to you for all sticking through it, because it's been tough times, but you've done a really good job. And I appreciate having a chance to talk with you. Thank you.
Michelle? Yeah, you're on deck.
Yes, I'll be ready with this.
Hmm? Okay.
I'm all done.
So you've been sitting here, if you want to start doing an overview, and then we'll have some time for questions. We've been saying 15 minutes, but we're running way ahead of schedule, so sure, you have the time.
All right, my name is Michelle Lesha. I am a resident of the Village of Somerset. I am a mother of 2 kids. My daughter graduated 2 years ago from Somerset, and then my son is a current senior. My husband and I moved to Somerset about 17 years ago because this was very similar to the small town that we grew up in northern Wisconsin, and we would hope that it would provide the same opportunities that we had growing up for our kids, which it has done that. I currently am a Children's Services Administrator for St. Croix County. I've been in this particular position for 2 years, but I've worked in Children's Services for a total of 20 years. The services that we provide for kids include children with disabilities, birth to 3, children in youth justice, so those that commit delinquent acts, children in the child protection field, and then we also recruit foster parents and all of that. So my responsibilities within that position include budgeting, and I pay a lot of bills and oversee a lot of staff and make decisions every day as it pertains to staff leaving, staff coming on board. So staff retention is kind of a big area that that I see also in the school district that is a need, and I put that in my application. And kind of a priority for me. Looking at the staff here in Somerset, I don't think my kids have had a great experience with the staff that we currently have, but the budget cuts have required some of the staff to leave, and some positions have to fill in other areas. And that happens everywhere, not just in Somerset or the school districts. And so we have to get creative. And so I look at that and kind of listen and talk to people as how we get creative. And I watch the board meetings, and I know that that's a challenge to make some big decisions. And so, so I look at that as one of our our weaknesses as far as staff retention and payment. Like what are we paying the compensation for, not just our teachers, but our paras. You can go get a job at Quick Trip for $21 an hour, and that it's like, do I want to work at Quick Trip or do I want to work in the school district? And that's a challenge for some people. So anyway, I look at the school district, and I meet with different people in the community. I meet with different people that work in the school district, just to kind of hear them out and talk to them, just as even a friend, community member. My husband and I are both actively involved in different activities in the community and in Somerset School District. My husband coaches middle school, and through that we've developed relationships through a lot of the parents that he coaches and the other coaches that are coaching in the district. Both participate and help out with the Basketball Association. I was the president of our Somerset Softball board for probably about 4 years. That was probably 4 or 5 years ago. So I have some experience with being on a smaller board and making decisions on the impact of kids and the activities that they participate in. Let's see, what else? I was a interim board member for probably 4 or 5 months here, so that I shouldn't leave that out. So I filled in, I believe that was like in 2022, January through April, and so and I did run for the school board and lost by a short, like 1 or 2 votes to Ian. I'm pretty sure it was only 1 or 2. So yeah, so I think that's me. I know I probably could talk a little bit more, but I think that's me.
All right, so Michelle, same question. Generally, do you think it's a board member's responsibility to support the recommendations of school administrators?
I think that it's a board member's responsibility to listen to the recommendations, and from what I've watched and gathered through the multiple meetings that I've watched in the last couple of years, is that there's not always one option that's thrown at the table. There's always a couple different things to weigh out, and the board members can talk about and discuss what is the best option for the district. But definitely to listen to them. And they're the ones in the school and working with the teachers, the kids. That's their job. You know, we only come here once, twice a month to hear a really short piece of what they have to provide, and that a very short time. So I think that it's a very high, what they come to us should be taken in high regard.
Thank you.
Nonpartisan question.
Yes.
As a board member, it's our job to be nonpartisan. And are you able to do that, or how would you do that?
Yes, when I ran for school board the last time, I had so many people asking me what political party I represented, and I don't think they know, and sometimes I don't even think I know. So I am open to both sides of the story and just kind of see what's best for the kids at the end of the day.
I have more of a unique question after, with you having just a recent graduating senior. Do you feel as though that Somerset Schools equipped her, and having a senior, I mean, I think you're kind of in a unique, do you think that Somerset equipped them with the tools and things they needed, both socially, academically, kind of the gamut?
Yes, actually.
Explain.
Yep, so one of my strengths that I had actually put in my application was the school district and the high school schedule. My daughter would attest to the fact that she's doing great in her collegiate career with not only sports but academically. I think she's still at a 4.0 or very close to. And she credits that to just being able to be prepared and having this schedule. It was a block schedule. She was like, this is what I know. This is what I had the last 4 years. So that transition from high school to college for her was great. And my son, yes, I would say, this year, he's like, Mom, because last year seniors got, we don't have the flex mods where we can't go off campus anymore. And so like he blames last year's seniors. I don't know if that's true or not. But, like for him, that accountability, I think right now, there's always changes, right? We're always looking at what's the trend. Not every class is the same. Not every 2 years it's not going to be the same. Education is evolving, and so we have to kind of watch that. It's not going to be the same today in 10 years from now. It's just not. My son does better with accountability, so if he doesn't have his assignments done and now you have Spartan time, that's a big deal. So your assignments get done and then you get to go have your free time or your flex time or whatever. And I don't know all the terminology, but I just learned from him that that's a big deal. So that accountability piece is good. And it's probably a really good change for a lot of kids in our district this year. So even though they would argue they would really like to have a trip to Quick Trip every once in a while during the day.
Okay. Any other questions? Any other things that you want to add?
No, like I guess the only thing, like I said, I've been on the board before. If you were to select me, it would be a quick, easy pickup, and I learned it, a couple years ago. It's not too much different than what it was, and I've been following through with all the board meetings and keeping up to date on the current events of the district. So, that's that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Kristen Roll. So you've heard it, so if you want to give kind of an overview.
Yeah,
And then we'll have questions, and you have 15 minutes, which has been more than enough time.
Yeah. Hi, my name's Kristen. I'm excited but nervous. I'm not like a big public speaker, but I've learned to jump out of my comfort zone because I love people. And I'm very compassionate about helping people and doing what I feel like I need to do to help people. I am an occupational therapist by trade. I've been an occupational therapist for 17 years. Most people ask me, well, what is an occupational therapist? An occupational therapist is a healthcare provider, and what we do is we meet with our clients, and these are people with disabilities that they could be born with hip replacements, disabilities that they can acquire, and we use a strength-based approach to help people. So I listen to people for my job, and I look at their strengths, and then I look at their barriers, and then I find creative ways to solve problems. So for the past 17 years, I listen non-judgmental to lots of different people of lots of different backgrounds, religious views, all those kind of things in the most non-judgmental way possible, and help people solve problems. One of my coworkers, while I was at a job, asked me to apply for another job because she said, Kristen, you're one of the most non-judgmental people I know. You really truly listen to people and you find out their hearts, their reasons for the choices and the views that they have. So I think that's one of my greatest strengths, in using creative ways to solve problems within people's means. Everybody has budgets. Everybody has things that are important to them that they want, and we have to do it within a budget and financial reasoning for businesses too. I worked at nonprofits for most of my career, or I worked at small businesses, and I look at Somerset School District as a nonprofit. What can we do as a nonprofit business to draw more people to our district? How can we communicate with taxpayers, get them invested in Somerset? What can we do to get them wanting to pass referendums, right? We don't want to just communicate with them and be really outspoken with our communication when we want money. We want to do it all year round. We want those community members to feel welcome at our athletic events, welcome to come to the school plays. We want to send communications out to them so they feel like they are a part of our community. I would love to see us use our beautiful building that we just remodeled and the auditorium we got to really reach out to our community, to host community events. I want the whole community, we have a large one, so when we post signs about things, it doesn't reach everybody. But I want to try to reach people on the outer parts of our district to really make them feel like Somerset School District is worth spending money on. I want people from Stillwater that come over here to look for jobs and to look for houses and land, to want to say, I want to send my kids to Somerset. I don't want to send them to Hudson. I don't want to send them to New Richmond. There are things at Somerset that are really unique and special. And I feel like we can do that without spending a lot of money. I have lots of ideas, and my husband's like, you don't have to tell him all of your ideas, but I have lots of ideas of creative things that we can do to make our school district unique, to bring in people to our school district. I worked at Somerset, so I know a few of the staff members, but I've worked as an occupational therapist in the district, so I've worked in all of the buildings, and I've gone on home visits. So I have that unique perspective of seeing the whole big picture. And then currently I work as an instructor at Northwood Technical College, so I work in regular education. So I can see the whole process of education from 3 years old, which is really adorable and cute, all the way up to collegiate. I've gone to a 4-year school, I have a master's degree and I have a bachelor's degree, so I understand that perspective too. And I understand the many pathways a student can take and the many opportunities a student can have to be successful, going to different technical schools, going to different colleges, and pursuing some trades and their own businesses. So I think I bring in that unique perspective of seeing the whole big picture and being a part of that whole big picture. I would love to improve the communication from the district. I feel like that is an area to improve. I would like, one idea I have is to send, it doesn't have to be that often, but at the beginning of each school year, wouldn't it be nice if you're a community member and you get a calendar of all the athletic events in the school play? I would feel more welcomed. Maybe even a little ticket at the bottom that says free admission to one athletic or non-athletic school event. It would make me feel more welcome as a community member to go to Somerset and to watch a volleyball game, watch the robotics. I think that's important, that engagement. I would like to see our school emails come out not at Friday when I'm leaving the office. I would like them to come out on like a Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, so I read them. I feel like when emails come out Friday, it's not really engaging me as a parent to know what's going on. If we have communications coming out, I don't want to see repetitive things on the communication. I want to find exactly what's happening that week. If past events happened, remove them. And I want to see our communications look professional. So if we click on our Spartan newsletter, I want to see kids. I want to see what they're doing in the building. What am I celebrating as a community member? I want to see kids in their classrooms doing creative things. I want to see like a elementary school. I want to see a middle school highlight, a high school highlight, because I want to feel like special things are going on each week. And I know special things are going on each week in our schools. So I think we should celebrate that, and we need to point that out to the people who are the taxpayers and the other people that are clicking on our district communications to show them the wonderful things. Because if I see wonderful things going on, I want to invest time and money in those wonderful things. I'm okay with giving $5 extra in my taxes, 10, 15, I don't know, Shannon, I'm bad at math, but I'm okay with that if these beautiful things are going on, and I'm seeing that, and I'm a part of that beauty. So I think that's super important. So that's some of the things I like. I like some of the strengths I see in Somerset right now is I like some of the creativity. I love the hammocks with the kids reading in the hammocks. I love the outdoor space. I feel like some of those things can really make our district unique because not a lot of districts have outdoor spaces they use. I also love the Learn to Love program and teaching kids about values and helping out other people. I would love for our district to do more integration. I have some really creative ideas of how to integrate regular education with kids with special needs. A lot of parents with special needs kids just really want some socialization with regular ed kids. And I would love to see that. You know, we can't always bring special ed kids into classrooms, but we can always bring regular ed kids into special ed classrooms. I think it's important to look at all of our children in our school district and think of the gifted and talented children, the regular ed children, the special ed children, and really represent and provide the services they need to be successful. And each population of students we have needs different things. And it doesn't always mean spending money. And I think I can bring lots of creativity to the school board and lots of energy and ideas. My ideas might not always be the best ideas, but they're ideas you can bounce off of and come up with additional ideas. So I feel like I have a lot of energy, a lot of positivity. I have kids in high school right now in the Somerset School District, and I would be invested in the Somerset School District after the kids graduate because I'm a member of the community. I live and work in the community, so this is where I am going to be. And I'm invested in seeing the success of the students, and that's my main goal. I would also like to, I'm very passionate because I'm a teacher, so I know all the stresses of being a teacher, but I feel like we can create an atmosphere that is worth wanting to work at, and I would like to really have teachers want to work for Somerset. So what can we do to bring in teachers, and what can we do to make them stay? Because we know that teachers staying is better than having a lot of turnover. And there are reasons people stay outside of getting a paycheck. So I want to investigate those reasons, and I feel like it's really important to find out what those are and then to provide those to your staff. Sorry, I was just like talking. I've also, I'm strong in the community. Working at Northwood Tech, we do a lot of community outreach at our college, so I'm a part of the community that way. I've also coached soccer, so I see the extracurricular and the importance of health and wellness. I'm a mental health first aid trainer for youth, so I really am invested in the social and emotional well-being of children. As an OT and an instructor at college, I have a very strong background in teaching and learning. I think that's important to know the teaching and learning principles so you can get the best outcomes from your students. And yeah, that's a little bit, a lot about me, but I have lots of creative ideas that I would love an outlet to share with. I can stay nonpartisan, because this is a nonpartisan position. I don't think people need to know what party you belong to. I think you really need to listen to the hearts of people and understand the hearts of people to make the best choices you can make. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Yep, same one. Generally, do you think it's a board member's responsibility to support the recommendations of school administrators?
I think it's important to look at everybody's perspectives of things, but it's also important to question everybody's perspective so that you can come up with the best outcome. Because it is better to take everybody's ideas versus the ideas of one person. I think but once a decision is made, I think you have to support it. But I think there can be a lot of dialogue back and forth. Well, why this? Why that? Because that's how you come up with the best outcome, is by being curious and asking questions. Yep.
Covered it. Does anybody else have any questions? Anything else you'd like to add?
Thank you guys for having me, and it's just so nice to be around a group of people with such pure hearts and people with good intentions. So I thank all the other people who showed up here tonight.
Chris Francisco. You kind of heard everything,
Yes,
so you
I
can
did.
give an
I
overview
did.
and then we'll save some more questions.
Yeah, and I've been up here before, doing this before, so I will go through it again though, because I know we're on tape, and just to let everybody know a little bit about my background. So I grew up actually in like Minneapolis, Minnesota, and left the Minneapolis, Minnesota area to go to college in Arizona. And when I returned, met my husband. He's from a very small town of 500-ish people. I graduated with probably 500 kids, he graduated with 30. So interesting perspective when you try to start your family and decide where you're gonna go, because I would rather have lived in an apartment in Minneapolis and walked to the grocery store, whereas he wanted to be on a 1,000-acre farm and farm. So we had some unique challenges when we tried to find a place to settle down. And we looked for a long time, and I wanted to know what the school district was going to be like. We did have a 6-month-old, I think, about the time we started looking, and he thought it was a little silly, you know, looking for a 6-month-old to look for schools. But I said, hey, if this is where we're going to settle down, where we're going to live, we need to find a good school district. And so every area we went to, I interviewed the superintendent and the school board, and I did so here as well. And in my biased mind from being from a big city, when we came here, I was like, Somerset's not gonna have anything that I want to offer. And back then, I think Randy Rosberg had just started. This was 2005, don't quote me on that. And I made the mistake of introducing myself and saying, oh, you look familiar. Oh yeah, you were my superintendent in Lakeville when I was 5, or something like that. And he was like, oh, awesome. So kind of aged him there, but I was really impressed. I was already working at a school district, which was a desegregation district for St. Paul, to bring in kids from inner cities and urban areas to kind of suburban areas, to see what offerings, if you bring kids together, what offerings they could have for each other. So I was in a very progressive district that was looking very far forward. We were an arts and science school district and still part of St. Paul. We were 10-district collaborative, so St. Paul, North St. Paul, all those kind of school districts. And so I had a high bar that Somerset needed to set. And you can ask my husband, I was blown away, impressed. I literally left and said, I didn't realize a small area could be so progressive, and we moved here for that. And that trajectory since then had always been on my mind, obviously having children in the district. My youngest is just turning 17. One of the opportunities she's had because of the opportunity she's had in Somerset is she's in Brazil this year. She's doing a year exchange for her junior year in high school in Brazil. And that is all because of the opportunities that she has had to extend her credits, be ahead, do things like that. My older daughter graduated 2 years ago and struggled in school and struggled since she was in pre-K. And so we've had all those experiences with, from, you know, different teachers that she didn't get along with to, you know, friend groups in this small community, because I'm not used to that. I had friends in different areas for like 2 years. So my husband helped out more with that, with obviously getting involved with administration when she had things that kind of weren't going so well for her. So just having that experience and being able to talk to everyone from her exact teacher to educational professional that was in the room to the principal to even the superintendent was just phenomenal to me, because working in a big school district like St. Paul, you have, you know, 6 or 7 superintendents and, you know, 100 principals. They're moving all over the place, and so it was really an eye-opener. So I did decide to come teach here when I was when my kids were in middle school, because it was just an easier transition. They were in a bunch of activities, doing things like that, and I started here part-time. I literally had 2 classes. My husband was going to have a heart attack because we were, you know, 2 full-time parents trying to raise 2 kids, and I decided to take a point. I think it was a 0.3 or 0.4 position here at Somerset, but I really wanted to get my foot in the door, and I really had the idea that this was a great district. And I subbed all over all 3 buildings that year, and I grew my career since then to the point where I did some directing for alternative education and did some, I guess, for lack of a better term, co-principals for summer schools. So I've had my hands in everything educationally. Rural districts, suburban districts, urban districts for 20-some years. I too decided to leave education. It is a different world right now. As I've said before, when I've been here before, the guilt of that is every day still, because it is the best career. I think the strength of our district is our teachers and our kids, hands down. They're who we need to support, who we need to be there for, and who we need to be looking at these policies and decisions for. But for me, it just didn't work with our family and what we were experiencing in the last couple of years. So I now work in insurance. Gives me a little bit different perspective, but wow, policy, fun stuff. I have now a much better perspective on policy, legal language, attorneys, all these kinds of things that were just, you know, eye-opening, which I think is also a strength if you were to accept me into the board, is now that I have that perspective, it's like, oh yeah, you know, there are things that kind of drive decisions, and there's really important reasons to, you know, go back to something and look at it and say, why did we put this here? Does it still belong here? Who does it benefit? And does it benefit all our stakeholders? So though that job is definitely not as exciting as teaching, it's boring as all get out, it has kind of pushed me a little bit further into that business world for understanding a little bit more perspective as to what that would be. Just trying to think. I too have coached, not sports because I would fall over, but things like forensics, and I don't think it exists anymore, but Destination Imagination, it was a group of kids that would come together to create things and then present them at kind of a state award piece. So I've had my hands in a little bit of everything. I taught college psychology and then ran the alternative ed program. So each kid's with those unique needs, you know, high, low, you know, very, very motivated or very, very unmotivated or very motivated, unmotivated on both sides. And everything in between. Nonpartisan, I was a social studies teacher for most of those 20 years. You can't have an opinion, and I don't know how you would after 20 years of being a social studies teacher, because you've seen it all, you've heard it all, you've done it all. You have asked questions and gotten all different kinds of opinions. So like somebody else said before, I don't know if I have a political opinion anymore. Yeah, I'm just trying to think if I'm missing anything. I did run in the spring, and only missed by a few votes as well. And I do hope to run again this spring if there are positions open. So I'm here to stay. I'm not just here to give lip service to whatever needs to be done right now. So I'll start with that.
So Kristen, generally, do you think it's a board member's responsibility to support the recommendations of school administrators?
Good question. Yes and no. We need to support our stakeholders. I think, especially in Somerset, you have 4 administrators. I mean, it depends who you're asking about in particular, but I'm thinking of 4 administrators, whereas you have 100 staff members and 1,500 students. So within the strategic plan, there has to be a way to get from point A to point B. Administrators definitely are present in the buildings, but teachers and students are present there more and doing that day-to-day piece. So of course they're going to have ideas about what needs to be done, but it needs to be vetted against the strategic plan and what we're looking at as a district for, without a specific example, I can't say like, if it was a budget question, sure I would, or if it was a discipline question, sure I would not, that kind of thing. To me, every stakeholder should have a voice, and the administrators have a voice as well, but they're 4 versus some other larger groups. So as long as everybody is involved in that conversation, I think it would be a better fit than just agreeing with an administrator.
Thank you.
Or disagreeing, for that matter.
You mentioned here as the area of growth, fear mongering. Can you just talk to that?
I put that in there and then I was like, oh, they're gonna read this, aren't they? Yes. So to me, sometimes you have those days where you can't get everything into the right words. Fear mongering to me is grabbing onto something when you don't feel like you have a voice, and then going with it because it will give you the easiest way to get a voice and get yourself heard. And that is not to be specific to anyone, any group, anything. I think it is, to use a gross word that we've been using too much, like an epidemic, with people not feeling heard, stakeholders not feeling heard, whether you want to say it's Somerset or communities or the world. Picking on something that they're afraid of is easier than trying to come to the table to question and get an answer that way. And I think that's a downfall of us versus them. And that's where I see division, and that just makes me concerned.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Like the things I asked you answered so much.
Okay, no worries.
Anything else you want to add? Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks.
And Matt Witterling. Is that you?
I'm her husband.
No.
I'm just
I
saying,
sent- I sent Matt an email
Okay.
about a half hour ago, letting him know we were running
I'm like, oh, okay.
ahead, and he had indicated he'd be here soon. and
Okay,
That was
oh, perfect.
about 20 minutes
Take a
ago,
look,
so
right?
I don't, maybe.
We're running way ahead,
Yeah.
like an hour.
Can't expect it.
That's efficiency.
I didn't know that you were her husband, sorry. I wasn't like that. Okay.
What's that?
What is that?
Mine? Bruce bought it for me. Yeah. See, last night, he came in and his little bowl of candy up there, and Twix on top, and I was like, he caught my eye. I love Twix, but I thought, nah, I'm not gonna take it. So then later, I saw Bruce was eating something, so I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna go grab that Twix. So I went out, he's gone. Did you eat the Twix? So then I get a ride home, so he said, for my kids, now they know that I like Twix, and then the ride home, he brought one. It was very nice of him, yeah.
Is your love language gift giving? Can you give me papers before?
Well, if you want to put your jacket and touch here and.
Okay. Take your time, take your time.
Catch your breath.
Don't
We're
feel
running
rushed
ahead
at
of
all.
schedule, so you're fine.
I tried the door and it was locked, so I'm like, is this not the right place? So,
Did you went to a different building?
no, I tried the door and it was locked, so then I,
Oh.
run around the building thinking, but boy, all the cars are parked over here, this must be the right place.
Got it.
So,
Take your time.
Yeah, take a few minutes to.
it's been one of those days at work.
I don't want to do that. So Matt, whenever you're ready,
Oh,
no, I'm giving you, just let us know.
yeah, sure.
Okay, so what we've been doing is, everybody, so you get 15 minutes, and we'll have you stand up in front at the podium or by the podium, whatever you prefer. If you can just give us an overview of, kind of, some of the information that you shared with us, why you're interested, your perspective, strengths, weaknesses of the district, and then we have some time for questions as well. We've allotted 15 minutes for every person, but as you know, we're running way ahead of schedule, so.
Okay. Sure. I just came from work. I guess a little bit about myself. I'm over 50, I'll leave it at that. I'm a territorial sales manager for O'Reilly Auto Parts. I do everything on the East Metro. And so I'm corporate, not operations, which is the stores. So I'm the liaison between all commercial things, dealerships, automotive repair shops, the stores, all of the upper management, which all happens to live in this area, by the way, and they drive all the way to Brooklyn Park to the office. So Star Prairie, New Richmond, Roberts, Baldwin, anyway, so we just moved to Somerset about a month ago from Minnesota, and got a house just the other side of the field over here in, what do they call that development? Morningside, something like
Meadows?
Meadows? Oh, wow, that was not even close. Anyway, but I'm originally from the Twin Cities. I met my wife in South Dakota when I worked there for 20 years. I was in law enforcement and special skills paramedic until a motorcycle accident forced some retirement out of me. So now I'm on a second career. So before I left, I was Cub Master. Son's still in the Boy Scouts here, transferred here. So was an auto mechanic years and years ago. Still do that on the side. So a jack of all trades, a master of none, maybe. But anyway, we were when we were living in South Dakota and we had kids, because I didn't get married until almost 30 and didn't have kids till I was almost 40. South Dakota's education system was 47th in the nation and dead last in teacher pay. And we were in a town of 1,100 people to afford a house type thing. And wanted a better education for my kids. And many circumstances ruled us, a few years ago, moving back to Minnesota where I was from. And there was some things that kept not impressing us with the school system there, and started getting more and more involved. And COVID didn't do anything good for most students, especially not in that area, you know what I mean? And so Works says because of what you do and your opportunities and things like that, you can live anywhere you want, and all of us enjoy it over here. And we did a bunch of research, and Somerset seemed like the right place for us to call home. We've enjoyed it. So far, the school has been very positive. We had parent-teacher conferences recently, and I was impressed with the tenature, the depth of knowledge, the practicality of the staff. Run into things where you just need to medicate your child into a stupor so I don't have to do my job, and other things like that I was really unimpressed with. But my son is too much of a talker. I don't know where he gets it from. The teacher's like, maybe you need to sit up here next to me so I can help you focus, rather than throw someone down the rabbit hole. But the teachers been around a long time. They have a lot of experience. Where we came from, like 20 or 30% of the teachers never taught a day in their life. And it's way above the state average of 11%. So it was, and then the teachers who were my age, they're like, we can't do it anymore, it's terrible. And I'm like, well, that's too bad, we're the people we liked. So, in your child's best interest, you take an interest, you know what I mean? And so, I guess it interests me to be part of the solution. So that's what brought me here.
Lori, do you want to go ahead with the question?
So, Matt, I've been asking the same question of all the candidates, and that is, generally, do you think it's a board member's responsibility to support the recommendations of school administrators?
Absolutely. We have good people and pay them for a reason, to listen to their concerns and support the things that they need to do.
Marge, do you want to ask your question?
So I've asked the same one all night too. Some of them had answered it ahead of time, but
Oh.
so as a board member, we're supposed to be nonpartisan. Are you able to be nonpartisan, and would you have a difficult time doing that?
I've been in that situation before, and it's not easy, but I can be nonpartisan. When I was captain of our ambulance service, we had two camps that didn't get along. So guess who gets to be captain, because they're not on either side. So it's been a real experience of mine.
First impressions of Somerset. This is a unique question for you because you're relatively new, but
Yeah.
what has been your greatest, I mean, you mentioned teachers, but greatest strength that you've seen from the district, and in a short period of time, what's been something that is an area of concern or weakness for you?
Boy, the people sure are nicer here, not scrappy. We went to Woodbury to get something, and boy, there was terrible people there. It's full of Woodburyans. Then we finished the shopping in Hudson, and we're like, oh. I guess I couldn't answer a ton of negatives. I guess we have just not experienced that, but my level of experience is pretty low in the same right, you know what I mean? Everybody's been very understanding and forthcoming, genuine, face value, you know what I mean? This school and the staff. I guess to explain it in a quick story, when we were closing on our house, it was still a couple weeks away after the schools started. But the school staff was so supportive, and like, you're for sure gonna close on the house? I'm like, well, this is all the paperwork they gave us. Oh, that's good enough. Let's get you started with the rest of the kids. After we were touring the place, and I'm like, well, that's pretty accommodating of them, you know what I mean? That, so my wife trucked them back and forth for a couple of weeks until the house closing, you know? So, I guess I don't have any negative experiences yet, thus so far. Everyone's been very inviting.
Thanks. Any other questions?
Yeah, you kind of already talked about it, but do you want to expand on your unique and diverse life experiences?
You know, I started out in high school and I left half the day to take auto tech and the EMT program, which is kind of my focus. I thought that the trade schools really offer a lot. I'm not for sure what Somerset's level is. There's obviously a trade school in Richmond. And I loved leaving part of the day of school to pursue my passions, but I had made it that way by taking enough classes to have that much left over my senior year to do those kind of things. It's always good to have something that's a trade to fall back on or do whatever, you know what I mean? And went to college after that, and then, you know, went to work. And most of my life I had 2 full-time jobs, and always worked the medical side, law enforcement, mechanics. When I moved back here, I managed a friend's 3 businesses and was general manager until COVID just killed it, and then came to work for O'Reilly Auto Parts, which is much different than I thought it would be, doing this on this side. It's not as glamorous as the brochure made it look out to be. But it's a lot of problem solving, which has been my strength my whole life. You know what I mean? A lot of adversity, a lot of challenges, a lot of problems, but nothing that you don't overcome and adapt and change. And that's made me really successful in this current job. Is nobody wants to be sold anything, but they sure want somebody who will fix their problems, things outside the box. And especially on the operations side, not the corporate side, the store side, there's a lot of people that just don't have the solutions, you know? And I had to do a report, had to do some paperwork for work. And I was shocked at what I found. In the last crash in 2008, Minnesota tipped over the edge that less than 50% of the people in the state work. COVID knocked it down even farther. 68% of the people in that state do not have a job. A normal state is 50-50. 25% little kids in school, 25% retired people, the other 50% work. That is not the case. Of that 68% that doesn't work, 83% of kids 30 and under don't have a job and don't plan on getting. I'm like, well, something has drastically failed. Of course, those are all the people that should fill our jobs, fill our stores, and do our things. And where was their mentors, you know? What was in their education? What did that not make them want to pursue and do things for themselves and others? Where's your sense of community, you know? Where's your sense of self-pride, or any of those things? So I thought it was amazing. I thought it was abysmal. And I came up with the information, but there's not a lot of solutions for that to solve that problem. You know, that's beyond our work's control. You know, we just adapt and try and do as best we can with it. So, didn't even go right. That went off topic completely, didn't it?
Any other questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so as a board, our first round of voting will be the top 2 choices for candidates. All the candidates that are here, I would like to just thank all of you, first and foremost, for putting yourself out there and for coming and for putting your name in. This is not something that necessarily, I mean, this is great as a board that we get to hear all of these wonderful people that are here and wanna help our district, but as a whole, there's only one spot for all of you that are here too, so I really encourage each and every one of you, there is an April election as well, and to continuing your passion and, look into that option as well, so I just kinda wanna put that plug in. But now, for the 6 of us, if you could put your top 2, and it doesn't have to be in any order, correct?
Right.
Is what it was done, so 2 names, and then make sure that your signature is, your name is on that.
Oh, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Do you also want me to read the name of the board member?
Do you wanna know them all?
What's
Just
that?
want to tally them up? Just to call them?
So, I believe I'm gonna read the names out loud and Bruce is going to assign a point.
Yep.
So he's gonna keep track of it on that document, but I will read them. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Okay. Okay. Garrett Below. Tell me when you're ready. Ruth Harleen. Garrett Below. Corey Cole. Corey Cole. Danny Erickson. Kristen Roll. Matt Wetterling. Michelle Lesha. Corey Cole. Ruth Harleen. Garrett Below.
Garrett has 3, Corey Cole has 3. Top 2.
I couldn't hear you, sorry.
Garrett, between Garrett and Corey, they both have 3.
Okay.
Okay, so the next step would be between those 2 names. The next paper was my top choice for candidate. So you'll choose between those 2 names.
Mix them up. All right, ready?
Yep.
Corey Cole. Corey Cole. Corey Cole. Corey Cole. Garrett Below. Garrett Below.
Okay.
Okay,
14, 40.
so from that, congratulations, Corey. And again, I want to emphasize to all of you, please, thank you, and please come back in April, where it's.
So going forward, we will put that on our next agenda then to have Corey sworn in as our Somerset.
Yep, and Corey, I'll reach out to you via email with a few other kind of next steps, so.
Is there a motion to adjourn our meeting?
Make a motion to
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Was that Bruce? Sorry.
Yep.
First, Matt was second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting is adjourned at 7:27.
Thank you so much, all
Thank
of
you.
you,
Yes,
for
thank you.
coming and applying.
Thank you again.
Yeah.
I got up there, I wasn't nervous, and it was like, oh shit. So I appreciate you listening through the stumbling and mumbling.
We'll be in touch too and kind of get you in with it.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
Oh.